Well, it's my first time too.
Positive. I
All right, howdy, welcome. Good to have you here. Now, if you've been in the sphere of this channel, which is very unlikely, you'd know that I've pretty much only ever focused on game-related content, sometimes with commentary, other times full playthroughs without. But this, as you can see by the title, I'm 36. If you're in your 20s, watch this. Topics like this, I should say, have been on my mind for a significant period of time, and I've always thought that I wanted to give more input. I wanted to venture out. I was treading around the idea of getting involved and giving my feedback, perspective, and lived experience in relation to these videos. Basically like a react, but with more input than simply leaving a comment. So I do tend to go on a tangent sometimes, and I can see this is a 16.11 minute video, 16 minutes 11. So I'm not really about the cuts, the fancy editing. I just give things straight up. And like I said, this is my first time doing this. But thanks to you, Rob Mulder. Now, this is Rob Mulder, by the way. And sorry, Rob, if you're watching this, a less than flattering still image of you. But I wanted to choose a video to do as my first reaction, so to speak, and input video of a lesser known channel. So I think Rob's doing all right. He's got about 70,000 subscribers. But I opted to go for him because he came up in my recommended feed. I thought this topic seems pretty relevant to me being 32 years old, and I'm wondering if Rob can correlate, expand, and maybe enlighten me of what I might have been doing in my 20s where I went wrong, and maybe I can share some sort of different input. Maybe we'll clash heads. Time will tell, but let the video roll, and I'll try to let Rob finish all these points before I pause him and give my input, and try and keep it brief and concise, otherwise we'll be here all damn day.
I am a 36-year-old man, and here are two things that I wish
Only
that
two.
I could have taught
Mind you,
myself
this is my first time
when I was younger. Now, these
watching
aren't
Rob.
just any two tips or ways to get rich faster or whatever, but these are probably the two most important things that would have actually had like a positive influence on my life, to actually make my life better and to make me happier. Now, the first one is this: don't be afraid to be behind in life. Being behind in life is not as bad as you think that it is. So I've had a pretty large chunk in my life where I was behind pretty bad. In my teens, I was doing relatively fine, but in my late teens and in my early 20s, I had this phase in my life where I had no job, I didn't even have an education, I just played World of Warcraft all day, I ate junk food all day, I neglected myself.
Okay, so he's saying in his 20s, he neglected himself, he neglected his health. He said he was doing all right in his teens, so assuming he finished high school, what he's saying is he didn't pursue a further education of college, university. But he hasn't said anything outlandish like he got hooked on drugs. Maybe he'll get to that. Hope he doesn't. But so far, it doesn't sound like there's overly anything drastic that you can't come back from.
And because I isolated myself all the time, I became increasingly socially awkward because of it. I saw my friends less, I was too afraid to talk to girls, etc., etc.
Look, before he goes on anymore, socially awkward, letting yourself go a little bit, he, again, hasn't touched on anything, life ruining, where I got hooked on drugs, I got hooked on something like heroin, methamphetamine, hospitalized numerous times, in critical condition, ended up in intensive care, just done something stupid, committed a crime, put someone else's life at risk, in danger, grievously hurt someone, whether by accident or on purpose. Okay, so he hasn't said anything as yet to where he's fallen apart. Now, I said I'm not going to go on for too long, but I feel like this is relevant. Now, where he said girls, okay, I've even seen these videos floating around on YouTube, and they get quite a lot of views, but I don't say this in order to try and catch your attention, but this might be relevant to you. Now, don't think that because you're awkward, you're not confident, you haven't had a girlfriend, you've never been kissed, and you're in your late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, don't think that that's the end of the world. Just a personal fact. My first relationship, which involved my first kiss, happened when I was 24 years old. Now, I'm 32 now. I'm 32, and I've been in 3, what I consider serious relationships. But at 32 years old, I only had any sort of sexual contact and interaction with women when I was 24 years old. And even then, you best believe I was awkward. All the Dutch courage in the world wouldn't help me being able to talk to a girl that I wouldn't even be meeting for the first time, a girl who went on to become my girlfriend at the time. And even the 3rd, 4th, 5th time of seeing her, eventually things started opening up for sure. And maybe like Rob will get to, practice makes perfect. Even for me right now, doing this for the first time, making a video, I'll get better at it. Practice will make perfect. But it's not too late. It's not something that you've fallen behind on in life, right? You don't need a master's or a doctoral to be able to speak to women, let alone anyone. It just takes practice, okay? So saying that you were socially awkward with anyone, with your peers, with women, in your late 20s even, it's not the end of the world. If you're watching this right now and you're 30 years old and you've never kissed a girl, it's not the fucking end of the world. You can go from having not kissed a girl to having slept with a girl in the same damn week, all right? If you tried, if that's what your goal was, if that's what you wanted to do. You can do that. Now, it's all about getting out of the comfort zone to initiate that, to be able to get to that position. But correlating back to what he's saying about you falling behind in life, you are not behind in life, my friend, if you haven't kissed a girl. You are not behind in life if you have been eating fucking potato chips for the last 10 years and you're 30 right now, okay? If you're not terminally ill, all right, and you're not a wanted man for a serious crime, you are not behind in life, even if you don't have a formal education and you've been playing Warcraft or whatnot. All right, take it away, Rob. We're only a minute in and I've already got this much input. Might be a long video.
I was pretty much behind in life on like every possible aspect in life that you could have been.
But what,
behind.
Rob? Elaborate.
Now, at first, I didn't really care that much because I guess I was stuck in this comfort bubble where I just distracted myself with video games, and I also smoked weed, which is like a big thing that traps you in a comfort bubble. But eventually I got to this point where I was tired of the life that I was living and I wanted to make a change. And I sort of started to panic because now my eyes were open to just how far I was behind in life, right? I thought, holy shit, I am so far behind in life. I've literally missed years of my life not talking to girls, not having a job, not having an education, neglecting my body, neglecting my health. And now I have to like literally catch up on all these years.
Pardon me. He may go on to elaborate or change his viewpoints, maybe rephrase what he's saying, but again, not having a job, not having a girlfriend, being out of shape, they are not things that anyone should consider you've fallen behind in life, all right? That's pretty darn negative self-talk. And again, I'll use myself as a reference point. Like I said, I've had 3 serious relationships, but key word in that being had. So I'm not in any serious relationships. Now, that is essentially what I'm after. But if I didn't go on now to have another serious relationship, let's just say 3 years, I don't kiss a girl, I don't sleep with a girl, because it's not my thing to do that, to sleep around, to have casual sexual encounters. So if the next sexual encounter is again in a serious relationship 3 years down the road from now, well, I'm not going to look back and be like, man, those years went by, I didn't talk to any fucking women. How depressing. I've fallen behind in life. No, man, no. And just because you might be socially awkward talking to people, talking to girls, I can encourage you multiple ways, multiple avenues to get better at talking to girls. So it's not necessarily going to a club or going to some place where girls hang out. You can just get good by talking to girls, by talking to people in general. You can get good at communicating by even talking to a camera like I am now, and then watching yourself over again and being like, okay, I could have improved this. I could have and ahed a little less there, been more confident. Because if you haven't done it before, believe me, it takes a bit of confidence to even get in front of a camera with no one around and talk like I'm talking. Anyway, I don't want to go on a tangent because I can do that, especially when I don't have bullet points. But you are not behind in life if you're out of shape, don't have a job, and are awkward at talking to girls. They are all things you can fix in a matter of months, weeks, maybe even a year or two, but that is not behind in life, okay? You can go from being heavily overweight, like right now is a good example for me as well. I want to lose about another 6-7 kilos. Now, about 8 weeks ago, I just got out of hospital. I was fucked up and bent out of shape when I got out of hospital. And that was about 7-8 weeks. Now, in that time, in those 7-8 weeks, I already managed to lose 6 kilos. Now, I know maybe 2 or 3 has been water weight, and maybe actually the rest would be what I'm trying to lose, because you initially lose the water weight. That being beside the point, when I got out of hospital, it's not like I was just back in the gym the next day, just grinding, just fucking pumping it out, multiple sets, hours in the gym at a time. No, it all started really, pardon me, it's the Red Bull. It all started really, really light. So if you're one of those people that's out of shape right now, can't do much, provided you don't have broken shins, legs, ankles, knees, or a sore back, and you can walk, just start with that, man. That's how I started. Just start with walking. Just make it a routine, yeah? Consistency is key. Consistency, just being consistent at what you're doing. Grabbing life by the balls. Grabbing your priorities, which should be your health, by the balls. Go out for a walk. Just start off with today. My goal, right, is walk 1,000 steps. My first day, 1,000 steps, like a 5-minute walk, however long it takes you, provided there's no pain and you're not making an injury worse. The next day, 1,200. Next day, 1,008. Next, 2,000. Keep it consistent. Keep the ball rolling. Just find time and don't give yourself an excuse that, today's raining, I'm not going to go for that walk. Man, I'm sure there's going to be a 30-minute interval in 24 hours where it won't be raining, okay? Can you find the time to go for that walk? Just start with that, man. And then change up your diet. Again, you don't need to be a magnificent cook. And now I have gone on a tangent, but I got to wrap it up. You can fix your diet just by simply downloading a simple app. You can scan foods, barcodes of packaging, and it can give you a nutritional breakdown. Now, some of the time it'll be paid, but other times it's generally free. And there's plenty of information out there. If you don't know where to turn for information, man, shoot me a message, leave a comment. I can give you information of where to at least start, what videos to turn to, what people to turn to on YouTube, a free platform where you can get legit beginner nutritional advice. So again, being out of shape, man, unless you are actually disabled, which God forbid you are, you can turn it around. You can turn it around in your 20s easier than you can for someone like me in my 30s where everything's fucking slowed down. Man, the amount of effort I had to give to lose weight when I was 25. I remember I was 30 kilos overweight at one point when I was like 25. I lost all that shit and became ripped in like 3 months. Though I was working pretty hard and I did fast for about 2 weeks. That fasting vlog might still actually be on this channel. Anyway, Rob, you're only 2 minutes in and I just can't stop talking. But Rob, you're killing me. You are not behind in life, my friend.
That I've been missing out on. I'm not sure if I can even do this, right? It's going to take me ages, literally years for me to catch up. And even then, like, I'm not sure if I'm actually capable.
You had another conversation with yourself and you realized it's not going to take you ages.
Thing for me to be so far behind in life. But I noticed that whenever I actually did make the decision to change, because I did come to a point where I thought, yeah, well, you know, I'm not going to continue living like this. I'm just going to do everything that I can. And whenever I had made that decision and I actually started to work towards my goals, I noticed that I actually started to feel pretty good, pretty damn fast. Even before I had caught up on life. So even before I had lost the weight and I had a girlfriend, etc. Even before then, I started to already feel this hype towards life where I became pretty happy. I actually started to feel happy and hyped on life again. And I realized, and I've talked about this before in other videos, I realized one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in life. And that is that in life, it is never achieving the goals that makes you happy, but it is always working towards your goals that makes you happy. Now maybe you know this. Maybe you've ever went to the gym and you've done a new bench press PR, and then you've looked in the mirror and you look the exact same as you did before the bench press PR. But despite the fact that you were not at your goal body yet, the act of doing a new PR and seeing yourself progressing towards your goals consistently, that is the thing that makes you happy, right? So I came to a point in my life where I learned this lesson, and I realized that I was actually pretty damn happy before I had even caught up on life. And
so he did have a conversation with himself. It's what I was hoping he was going to do. He did have a conversation with himself, and I think why he used the quotation marks of caught up in life is because he did come to the realization where he wasn't as far behind as he thought he was. And I suppose that's what I've been going on a tangent about, that you aren't really as far behind as you may think, okay? Even at the age that you might be now.
to make things even better, I actually started to catch up on life pretty damn fast as well.
Yeah,
so for
no
example,
shit.
I got a job, right? I got a sales job. Now I hadn't had a job in years, from like since high school until I was...
I don't know how it works over where Rob's at, but how do you get a job in sales with just a high school diploma and no work experience, what I'm gathering? But hey, all the power to you. I just know that here in Australia, I'm not too sure what kind of sales you're going to be doing in your late 20s without any sort of education, even at like a community college or a TAFE, how we'd call it here. Anywho.
Like, I was 23, 24 or something. I did not have a job or an education at all, right? I was a loser that did nothing but play World of Warcraft all day and neglect myself. I got a sales job, and I just made the decision for myself that I was going to put in a little bit more effort than the other salespeople. I was going to make more sales calls. I was going to think more about the psychology.
So you're a telemarketer, Rob. Oh man, we fucking hate those people around here. Usually, they're not very proficient at the English language, put it that way. Yeah. So it gets very annoying, but they haven't really been around all that much since the, well, not the invention of the mobile phone, since mobile phones became more prevalent. They used to always call the landline when I was a kid. You were a telemarketer, Rob? I like how you're embellishing it with sales. It's all good, man. Good for you, man. Good on you for actually taking a job like that on. Especially from a guy who says he was socially awkward. Now, again, just to interrupt, this is relevant. That's a good way to break out of your comfort zone. Rob said that he was socially awkward, okay? He wasn't particularly confident. Man, even getting on the phone to someone, especially when you got to pitch something, whatever it is that he was pitching, initially, it's going to take quite a bit of balls. It's going to take some confidence, okay? You might tremor, you might stutter, and it could be difficult to start off with. But it looks like he put himself in that situation to allow him to be challenged, which is what levels you up.
Of what we say in the sales script. I approached the best salesman in the office and I asked him for advice, which he was more than happy to give me because he was like honored that I considered him like the best salesman, right? And within no time, I became the best salesman of the office, which is something that was completely unimaginable to me before, right? I had never had a job. I considered myself to be a loser. I was afraid to even get a job. I thought that I had so much catching up to do, but the moment I actually got a job and I just made the decision to put in a little bit more effort than the average person does, I became better than the average person was. Same thing happened when it comes to talking to girls. Talking to girls was so far out of my comfort zone. I was so incredibly awkward. I did not know what to say. I didn't even have the courage to say anything to a girl.
Well, talking to girls is very different than talking to guys as well. For example, this video is remotely targeted to men, to young men. There is no way I can imagine a female watching this and taking anything away the first 2 minutes, let alone the video in its entirety. So talking to girls is a bit like that, where the way you talk to friends, to even guys that you've never met before, just interactions between teenage men, grown-up men, older gentlemen, it's totally different than being able to talk to women, okay? It's more like, I'll use quote, shit, I almost knocked my desk is like falling apart. Almost knocked that bitch down. Quote unquote, yeah, that's what I was trying to do, get the quotations up. Now, talking to girls is playing the game. That's the word I wanted to put in quotations. All right, you have to approach the scenario entirely different, man. Women fall in love with what they hear, put it that way, all right? Men fall in love with what they see.
But me and a friend, we decided to become pickup artists. And I know a lot of people are going to think that this is super cringy. And yes, there are a lot of super cringy pickup artists that you can see on the internet. And I'm pretty sure that I have said and done a whole bunch of very...
He looks like he's orbiting in this one. He's like the guy on the outside. The best friend. That's what that photo kind of looks like. But yeah, look, more power to you, pickup artists. But like I said, it doesn't take a fucking doctoral degree to talk to women, okay? And you might have no experience in doing it in your late 20s, brother, okay? You don't even need to become a pickup artist. Just talk to them, okay? How to get started might be a question that someone may hypothetically want to ask. Well, the way I'd say get started. Yeah, dating apps are shit. They're generally pretty shit. Shit in the sense of like hooking up. But I can see where even the platform of any sort of dating app can at least help you level up through communication, effective communication. It can help you level up by writing, so being clear and concise with what you say, but keep in mind how you say it and what you say to women, again, will be different to what you would say to a guy. So the dynamics of the conversation change, but if there's the option to say leave an audio message, to talk with your voice, to leave one of those as opposed to just typing all the time, do that. And try and do it without talking for a minute and then, I kind of went a bit awkward there. It kind of went a bit wayward and I didn't say what I wanted to say or convey my point. I'm going to delete that and start again. And you keep recording and starting again. You're being a little bit unauthentic there because you're not going to be able to start again when you meet face to face. So just get like that. Just get good at, okay, this is going to be one take and one take only, kind of like I'm doing today. Just say what you got to say. Say it how it turns out, and how it turns out is how it turns out, brother. But through experience, through trial and error is where you're going to get better. So leave a voice message to a girl. Man, even if you don't find her particularly attractive, just see if you click. See if the conversation can keep going. In the past, I'd even speak to women, oh man, I don't find her attractive whatsoever. But you know what? I'm just going to talk to this person. I'm going to talk to this person and I'm not even expecting anything to eventuate, but I'm using that as an opportunity to better my communication skills, seeing where I'm at, seeing if I can say something that can intrigue this person, if I can keep a conversation flowing, if I can keep it from getting awkward when we do meet in person, if it gets to that stage. And don't be discouraged if it doesn't get to that stage, man. Plenty of videos out there disproving that fucking dating apps are horrible for men. So maybe it is better to be a pickup artist to better these skills. But look, don't stress too much, man. All right? Practice makes perfect.
Very cringy things as well in the early days of my pickup artist
it's all
career.
Good being cringe, man.
And some of my friends laughed.
As long as you can laugh it off.
This. But becoming a pickup artist did sort of help me to break my shell and to overcome my fear of rejection, and it helped me to learn to talk to girls.
Hell yeah.
And develop some social skills, and eventually actually land a girlfriend, now a wife. I'm married. I have a wife and I have children.
Good for you, brother. He thought he was behind in life and he's married with kids at 36. And from what I just saw, that kid isn't newborn. So he's been married and had kids, I'm going to assume, around the age I'm at now. This man thought he was behind in life. Man, he's ahead.
Quickly became better at talking to girls than most other guys my age were. And again, this is...
Well, you don't know that for a fact. How the hell would you know that, Rob? How do you think that you became better at talking to girls than them? What, they told you? Are you gauging it by results because you're married and they're not? Don't say that. I became better at talking to girls than most guys my age.
Something that was so completely unimaginable to me before, because I thought I've literally been missing out on my youth. My late teens and early 20s, I had not talked to girls. I just spent my life in isolation, socially awkward, not talking to girls at all. But by just making the decision to put myself out there and actually practice talking to girls, I became better at talking to girls than the average guy within relatively no time. And so if you ever feel behind on life, on whatever aspect that is, maybe that is girls, maybe that is financial, whatever it is, I just want you to know, don't lose hope. You can catch up on life relatively quickly. And it's not just that you can catch up relatively quickly, but it's also the fact that life doesn't start at the point.
Bro, you seem to be doing all right, Rob. That's a pretty decently sized yard. Are you renting or do you own? For someone that only got a job 10 years ago, at the most. Kids, wife. This man is a beacon of hope for all you people that think you're at the end of the line. Even I don't need to put a lot of emphasis on input.
Once you...
And at 36, he can plant his butt on his heels. I can't do that.
have caught up, but a good life starts at the point where you decide to make a change and actually see yourself working towards your goals. No matter how far you are behind in life, no matter how old you are, if you make the decision to actually make a change and catch up.
Look, some things you can fall behind in life on, okay? You also should be a realist and not become delusional. Just to give a simple example, when you're in your 30s, you're not going to be peaking as much as you could have been in your 20s. And if you know for a fact, like I know for a fact, that I was peaking physically in my 20s, and now I can train and diet without potentially pharmacology and a whole life devotion to health and fitness in its entirety, there is no way I can match the me of yesteryear being 22, 23 years old. Now, I know the physical capabilities I had. I know the recovery times I had, the pain threshold where I'd just be able to push through just about anything from sleep deprivation to being quite severely injured and still being able to get on with something without anyone even finding out, because I'd be that... I don't have a word for it. Let's just say I'd be that hardened physically that I'd be able to do things that I simply can't do anymore. So it can be too late for some things, okay? You're not going to become an Olympic athlete if you're just starting the sport in your late 20s, early 30s. Okay, some things can be too late. The clock does keep ticking and some things do pass you by. That's probably the better way to enable my point.
Then you can feel pretty damn good. You can actually feel true happiness within a relatively short time.
But you can still achieve true happiness. You can still achieve happiness.
There's this Iron Maiden song called Wasted Years where they sing about this. They sing something like, don't waste your time always searching for those wasted years, and then something else, and then...
Well, that's like living in the past. Don't waste your time on wasted years, on times gone by. One of my friends who now lives in Florida, greatest, best childhood friend, and we still stay in touch, said something along the lines of never regret a thing. Okay? There's no point in regret. He phrased it differently, and now I'm not recalling the exact words. But everything, every mistake, even every consequence is a lesson learnt. And you can use any shit experience to level up. You can even use a crime that you committed. Again, God forbid that you're in that situation, that you have committed a crime. But if you repent, if you regret, some things, it can be truly hard to come back from. But end of the day, man, to reach that inner peace, you have to be able to live with and accept whatever it is that has happened, is what I'm trying to say, okay? I'm not saying, I'm not in that position to enable someone to be forgiven for something that they may have done to someone else, but I'm talking about that individual. For them to find any ray of salvation, any degree of happiness, okay, they have to be able to look at that past, whatever it may be, and that's why I'm emphasizing even something horrendous, and they have to take that and they have to try and salvage some good from it, something that they can take to put in the positive column to allow them to grow, to now be like, okay, with this lived experience, I've leveled up in such and such way. Whether it's through giving back by talking to people about your mistakes and how you have addressed them, or whether it's just within yourself to truly find repentance and allow yourself to forgive you for what you've done, for the mistakes you've made towards yourself and someone else, someone that you may have cared about.
Realize that you're living in the golden years. You could be living in the golden years if you choose to live in the golden years.
Physically,
right
your
now.
20s
so
as a
whenever
man
you get
are your golden
demotivated
years.
that you're behind
but
in
mentally,
life, just put on that
they
song
can be your 40s.
and realize what I just told you. The second thing that I wanted to say is don't be obsessed about the idea that you have to achieve certain things before a certain point in life. So I've always been someone that always lived in this idea that I had to become rich before a certain age, or else then I would have failed in life, right? I've always had this idea that I wanted to become like rich and achieve certain things in life. And
Bro, you're rich. You got a pool too.
I didn't even have like a solid plan
You're doing
yet,
well.
but I just had this idea in my mind. Yeah, at some point in the future, I'm going to like start a business and I'm going to become rich. And I'm going to become rich in my 20s before I hit 30. And if I don't make that goal, then I've sort of kind of failed at life.
You're late in
'Cause,
life?
You know, that is me. That's really important to me. And it sounds really cliche and lame, I know. But I've come to a point in my life, now that I'm a little bit older, where I realize that there are other things in life that are a lot more important than trying to become rich are.
Maybe he'll say it, so I want to beat him to it. Being content, okay? Because my point, and I'll make this a brief one, about being rich, it's not so much that I don't want to be that guy that says money can't buy you happiness, because it certainly helps to get you there. But it's about finding the things with that money that make you content, because the grass will always be greener somewhere else. Not so much on the other side that it's metaphorically next door to you or across the street. It can be, but I'm going to use the expression somewhere else. The grass is greener somewhere else, because there's always going to be someone who's rocking a better phone, perhaps a better outfit, driving a better car, has a prettier girlfriend than you. Perhaps they're living in a better house. The things can go on and on where you will look at someone, and so you should. There should always be beacons. There should always be examples of people out there who have got something that, well, I wouldn't use the word envy, but you look at with, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. But you got to understand that there has to be also a level that you can reach where you can accept being content and happy. Now, I know that there's a better phone out there than this. I know that I can get the Model 1 up from this. And I can get that today, but I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with this. Sure, I wouldn't mind it if I got a better one. That is just a simple cliche example. So you can settle. And I think that's a very important thing. And maybe he'll go on to say that you learn to find happiness with what you have, to become content with what you've got. Because if you get stuck in the perpetual motion of always chasing something better, man, my car isn't fast enough, my car isn't good enough, I've got a $250,000 car now, the next level is to own a $500,000 car. Dude, I'd be happy right now. I'd be content even with millions of dollars, quite content with a $50,000 car. And if I can learn to be content with that and learn to enjoy that, learn to say push that car to its limits, to enjoy it in its fullest, why do I need to level up? I shouldn't even use that expression, to level up. Okay? Acquiring something new, going from a $1,000 watch to a $10,000 watch isn't even a level up. Okay, it's a materialistic possession, and if you're one of those people that it makes you happy, please tell me how long until it wore off, because it will wear off.
And because I've been so caught up in this idea that I had to achieve certain things before a certain age,
content.
I realized that I've actually missed out on a lot of things in life that would have probably made me a lot happier. I failed to appreciate the things that were truly important in life, and because of that I've sort of missed out on the life that I could have been living. And right now I can see the exact same thing happening to countless of young men all around the world. Because we live in this age of social media and influencers, right? And we have people like Andrew Tate, and not trying to say that everything that Andrew Tate says is bullshit, but
now I've got an opinion in itself, but I'll save that for another time if anyone's interested. Andrew Tate, business mogul, telling everyone in their fucking dog in their 20s to sign up to his university and get rich. Man, I think that's going to be my take-home point. Be content, yeah? You might have even heard the expression, don't settle. Why? If you found something that makes you happy, if you evaluate, you sit back. Oh, man, it's good to have a roof over my head. Electricity, my internet's working fairly well. I'm in good standing with the people I care about, and generally, I'm in good health. I'm pretty happy. You can always have more, man. You can always grind, but maybe like Rob's getting at now, you can grind so damn much that you hate the process. You hate who you're becoming, and you hate what you're missing out on, and you don't even understand why you're doing it towards the end of the day. What the hell is it that I'm even grinding for? What is it that I want better? I want the grass to be greener on the other side. Man, I'm standing on a patch of dirt. I ain't even standing on grass anymore. I'm looking for grass, period. Not a greener patch.
We live in an age where people like Andrew Tate and other influencers give people the idea that you somehow have to be rich in your 20s, and that if you don't get rich, that you failed and that you are a loser. They give people the idea that you have to give up on your youth, and that you just have to
2 million,
stop all
10?
entertainment, and that you have to be productive all of the time, because if you don't do this, then you're a loser. And if you do it, well, then you're a cool entrepreneur that will become a millionaire in your 20s, right? I see teenagers, literal teenagers, like 15-year-old guys who are giving up on their youth.
Hell.
And they say things like, oh, I'm sorry, friend, I can't come to your birthday party and have fun with my friends. Because didn't you know that partying is for degenerates?
He's talking about 15-year-olds, no? Man, when I was 15, I think I had it at an indoor sports center. It's for degenerate. What the fuck? Yeah, bro. No, I can't come to your birthday party. Thanks for the invite, but I'm grinding. I'm setting up an OnlyFans for my side chick. Yeah, no, she got a fakie. She got a fakie, and I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna set it up for her. We're gonna be grinding this hustle, bro. And then all the profits we're gonna put back into recording equipment. What the fuck? Like, what are you even saying? What kind of a business startup is a 15-year-old doing anyway? That's ridiculous. And not going to a birthday party? Degenerates? I don't know. I've got younger siblings. I haven't heard of such a thing. Rob reckons he has.
And that's not me. No, no, no. I am not a degenerate. I don't do partying or entertainment. I just work hard.
It's a kid's party.
But these same guys who say that, they don't even have a business. They don't even have plans that they work on instead of going to the party. They don't even know what to do with their lives. They don't even know what to do instead. They're just telling their friends that they can't go to the party, that they can't have fun with their friends, or they think that they're not allowed to ever play video games ever again. Because some influencer on the internet has told them that you have to quit doing these things and that somehow makes you cool and that somehow is going to make you a millionaire before you hit the age of 30. They are literally missing out on living their youth because some influencer has tricked them into believing that this is the way to live.
Tricked them into signing up to Hustlers University and paying almost $100 Australian a month to essentially read a Reddit thread and become an entrepreneur at 20. Now, look, I don't particularly have a business brain, but I can tell you this much. What business is providing a good or a service that people need, supply and demand kind of thing. What the fuck do you think you're going to provide that someone needs being a 20-year-old? You don't know shit about shit. Okay, I don't care whose university you listen to and how many hours of podcasts you've heard. You don't know shit about shit. You simply haven't lived life enough. And that's where people get it wrong. Where they think that sacrificing things like having fun, being outgoing, and by fun, I don't necessarily mean degenerate behavior, as Rob said. You can have fun without that, but just getting out there, just going to a birthday party, it is still a way to train your communication skills, your interaction with people. There might be girls there. Hey, this is an ample time now to see how you are going to be around girls. Does it turn you into a different person? Do you act a certain way? How is it that you communicate with women as opposed to your guy, your boyfriend, your boys that are friends fucking slipped up?
Your life, and that this is what makes you cool. And the truth is that for 99.99, like a lot of 9% of people, this is completely unrealistic advice, and these people will never become rich. You know, what you have to understand is that most self-made millionaires only ever become a millionaire in like their 40s or 50s or even 60s, right? After like doing business for 30 years, and after 30 years of
Exactly. You've built up your craft. Whatever it is that you're in business with, you know what the fuck you're talking about, all right? You can go into business, obviously, in a plethora of things. You can go into business, we'll just take something like construction. You can have a construction business. You can hire bricklayers and plumbers, carpenters, what have you not. If you don't know a damn thing about bricklaying, if you were never a laborer, if you don't know the first thing of what to do with a wrench, that's okay, but it's also not okay if you want to run a business and employ people that do. So that's like being a leader at anything that you're going to lead people in, any sort of environment where you're going to lead people in, because that's what owning something is. That's what being the boss of something is being a leader. Now, if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, if you've got no experience, again, drawing from my own life experience, I used to work as a security guard, a bouncer, right? And I worked as a bouncer for many years, okay? And eventually I went from just being the bouncer, being told what to do by the head of security, to eventually becoming the head of security myself. Again, that took years, that took experience, but there would still be someone, the boss, the owner of the club, and I'd be their first point of contact. Now, he'd come in every now and then, but he'd tell me what to do. And that's okay. Sometimes he can be in the right, but other times, I don't want to use the word overstep, but he'd tell me to do something that he knew fucking nothing about. I was at his club, at his venue, 4, sometimes 5 nights a week for many hours at a time. And I built up more experience, a better understanding of the crowd, the people he was dealing with. My situational awareness was on another level compared to his, but because he was the boss, he was the business side of things, he would tell me what to do. He'd tell me how to suck eggs in my job, in my profession. He wouldn't let me work the way I deemed fit because he was above me in the hierarchy. Now, that's the kind of boss you don't want to be. So if you want to own a business, it's not a waste of time if you start at the grassroots of that business. If you want to own a business in, say, you want to own a bar, you want to own a nightclub, start off with getting to know your drinks. Start off with knowing how to make cocktails. Be a bartender. Be that guy that cleans up the bar. So you know, like there's even a TV show on this, I think. Not that I've ever watched it. It was like Undercover Boss, whatever. And then they would actually go and see how the front line of their business operates and what kind of like circumstances people work under. And you know what? All the bosses from the episodes I have seen of that show say that they earn a tremendous amount of feedback and personal growth, a takeaway of a lot of personal growth from what they encounter with their subordinates. So you want to own a business, don't just start with, I want to own a business. Start off at the grassroots of that business, okay? Like the positions that you would be entry level of whatever it is that you're interested in. If you're into being a mechanic, be an apprentice, that kind of thing. You want to own a nightclub, find out what the security does. Find out how they run it. Watch them. Don't think that you're too good just because you want to just jump the gun and be the fucking head dick, king dick of the entire enterprise. I'm telling you, that's what leadership is. Leadership is being able to do the role of the lower man, okay? But they can't do yours. But you have to be able to go down the ladder and still be able to do everyone's role, to know the inside and out of everyone's role. That's what makes you a good leader. That is what will make you a good businessman or woman as well, which is why men are the best businessmen. Anyway. No, but seriously, you have to know your shit before you jump in. Otherwise, they won't even respect you as a boss.
Experience and failure, they finally like get the opportunities and the network and the knowledge to actually become a millionaire, right? And that's just the millionaires we're talking about, right? Most guys will never even become a millionaire. The amount of guys who just start a business in their 20s and then end up becoming a millionaire like a few years later, I don't know the exact statistics, but we're talking about...
Show me these 20-year-old millionaires. What business did they start? How did they do it? If we're talking about like a 0.000, man, that ran out of battery quick, that light. Maybe it wasn't fully charged. I don't know of what kind of businesses these fucking people are starting. Because like I said, a 20-year-old, I can't quite put my finger on what kind of an idea a 20-year-old could sell me that I wouldn't look down on. Not because I think that I'm better than them. I'd simply think you can't have possibly mastered this trade and now became the head of it, the boss of it. And if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, like I said with my previous point, why would I trust you to purchase your goods or acquire your services? What are you going to just hire a team of, say, tradespeople, say I want to renovate my house? You're the boss of a company that hires tradespeople, right? Okay, so either the people under you are professional and entirely versed, and I'm not saying, oh, okay, you can't own a construction company if you don't hire... you can't own a construction company if you don't have the skills of an electrician and a plumber and a bricklayer. You have to acquire all those skills. But you have to have the basic knowledge. And if all you have is the business side of it, I'm not entirely going to be receptive to hiring your services. Now, you may wonder why I say that. Well, if I have a problem, if those construction workers fuck something up, right? If I'm not happy, at the end of the day, who am I going to complain to? Maybe in the spurt of the moment, I'll approach that worker. But the reality is, I'm ultimately going to be seeking any sort of compensation, or any sort of complaints are going to go through the top of the food chain, not directly to that employer. Now, if you're some 20-year-old King Dick think-alike, you're going to come and you're not even going to know what you're looking at. You're not going to understand what that customer's complaint is entirely about if you don't have the slightest idea into the form of service that you were providing. In this case, being an example of, say, bricklaying. I'm not happy with something in regards to the job. You come down as the 20-year-old boss, King Dick. Dude, you don't know anything about bricklaying. How the fuck am I going to get my point across to you that I'm unhappy about X, Y, and Z if you don't know? How are you going to be receptive to any sort of feedback?
About like 0.00, a whole lot of 0.1% here. It's completely unrealistic advice to sort of give the average guy the idea that that is the way that he has to live his life. I am not trying to shatter anyone's dreams here, okay?
No.
If you actually have
No,
plans
you're not.
and you actually have your own business, and your own business actually requires a lot of your time and requires you to make sacrifices in your life, by all means.
And sure, it will take time, it will take sacrifice, but that's what being a good leader, being a smart business owner is. You don't have to know the entirety of the ins and outs to know that trade wholeheartedly, but you have to have like a faint idea, okay, of what it is that you're doing.
Means go for it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. The world needs people that work hard. The world needs the Elon Musks in this world, right? But I am saying that please be realistic about your goals and make sure that your goals don't prevent you from actually living your life and doing the things that truly matter in life. Don't be one of these guys who sacrifices his youth without even really knowing what you're sacrificing your youth for, without even really having like a solid thing to work on.
Just don't take that fork in the road, okay? That's making you unhappy. Don't have that mindset of, I'm going to be miserable now, so 10 years down the road, I can be that rich guy, as Rob's referring to. Okay, I can have the Lamborghini. I can have the 3-story mansion with the pool in the backyard, the hot wife, whatnot. I think the sooner that you find yourself being able to be content with things is the sooner that you'll reach that happiness. And indeed, don't waste all your time grinding for a potential future. Yes, I do also acknowledge that some things will require a grind. Say getting into shape, losing weight, making adjustments in your lifestyle. It won't happen overnight, even if you want to lose something like 10 kilos. It will take time. It will take discipline. It will take consistency. But I think what Rob's trying to convey here is don't use all your time chasing something that you don't even know if it's worth chasing yet, and letting things pass you by that could have made you happy in the present. Like giving up present happiness for potentially better happiness tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. Sometimes it's better just to be present, happy in the moment, content with what you have.
Maybe there will come a point in your life where you work 80 hours a week and you make a lot of sacrifices because you go full hardcore into your business, right?
What 20-year-old is working 80 hours a week? That's more than 11 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. I don't believe I don't believe anyone. Someone right now tells me that they work 7 days a week for 11 hours. I don't believe them, straight up. No YouTuber even works 11 hours a week. Sorry, a day for 7 days a week. It's a load of shit.
Maybe that point will come. But the thing is this, that if that point will ever come in your life, you will know when that point will come in your life. That point will probably come when you already have a business and you're already working hard on your business, and then eventually you say, hey, wait a second, my business is really taking off and it requires a lot of my time. Maybe I should make a lot of sacrifices in my life and stop doing all of these things, and maybe I should work 80 hours a week on my business and go full hardcore for a couple of years to see where this thing goes.
What is it that you want to achieve with that business?
Maybe
is what I asked.
You are someone who
what is
the
the end game? What is the goal? Is the goal of the business because you want the validation, the satisfaction of the business having worked out? Does it fill a void? Let's just use the term fill a void in your heart, right? Fill a void in your soul, that your business has achieved new heights and is for the betterment of mankind, made things better, so in turn that makes you feel better? Or is it solely because you want to acquire that Lamborghini Huracan, you want that 3-story mansion? Like, why are you, like, that's a thing you have to sit down and I suppose assess with yourself. Why are you doing this? Are you just trying to be rich for the sake of being rich, for the sake of better materialistic possessions? Or are you just rich and that's like a side quest, okay, for lack of a better term? Being rich was just like a bonus. It came with it. But what you're actually doing, the passion you're chasing, the business you're expanding, that is what actually gives you happiness. That's why you're grinding at it so much, because, man, you can see the reward, the satisfaction you gain from what it is that you're doing. And the money that comes with it, that's just the bonus. Is that what you're doing? Or is the money the primary concern and you're fucking hating every minute of it? Because if that's the case, then yeah, you are potentially letting years go by in your life. And yeah, you know, you can always turn around. You can always, like I said at the very start of this, you can always find that girlfriend. If you were this single millionaire introvert, right? You can always turn around. You can take your millions now. You can quit whatever it is you're doing, sell your company, your firm, and now you can go out and be a pickup artist, better your communication skills and your ability to interact with people. You can always turn that around, and that money ain't going to get in the way. It ain't going to hurt. But when it comes to working with your mind, gentlemen, okay, that isn't going to go away in its 30s, in its 40s, in its 50s, okay? It's not too late. It's not even too late to go from obese to fit in your 30s, in your 40s. But like I also said somewhere along the way in this video, time will pass you by, okay? Time will pass you by because your 20s is your peak physical prowess, your peak ability. And if you have ambitions that surround something like sport, anything fitness orientated, whether it's becoming an Olympic athlete or just really proficient and skilled at a particular thing that requires a physical capacity, it's not going to be the same if you attempt to begin to start doing that in your 30s as opposed to your 20s, okay? So really sit down and think about what you want. Don't waste all your time having fun, but like I also said somewhere along the way, you can do something inherently negative, okay? But if you're smart enough, you're wise enough to take pause and take note of where you might have went wrong in a negative experience and take something away from that, and like I said, put it in a positive column and use it to level up, use it to grow.
But what I'm saying is this: when you reach that point, and most people will never actually reach that point, but when you reach that point, you will know when you have reached that point. And before you have reached that point, if you don't have a solid reason to give up on your youth, don't give up on your youth. Don't sacrifice your life because some influencer somewhere on the internet told you that if you party with your friends or if you play a video game once, that you become a loser.
Well, I don't think
and that if you don't do
that,
these things, that makes you cool, and that somehow magically turns you into a millionaire before the age of 30.
It's about not letting that become your lifestyle. Okay, so you don't want video games to become your lifestyle. In some cases, that's okay if it becomes your profession. Okay, there's people on YouTube, Twitch, whatnot. Video games are their profession, and they're cashing in on it, and they're not even particularly sacrificing their morality. Okay, there's YouTubers that just quite literally one take play games, and people outright watch them, give them live donations. Good for you, man. So I don't think anyone's particularly saying you played a video game once, you went to a party once, you got drunk once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. It's about not making it a common theme, okay? like it becomes your new norm, your new lifestyle. You don't want it to become, I suppose, your goal, your driving factor, what gets you up in the morning every day. Okay? Because while you can still take something positive away from a negative experience or a negative activity, your foundation isn't going to be that negative activity, okay? You got to find an actual foundation, pillars, foundations that you build your life upon. And one of those, for example, is your health, okay? You don't want to ruin your health. You want to get in the best physical shape that you're ever going to be in your 20s. You want to achieve that. You want to build that foundation. You want to acquire that muscle memory, even if things go pear-shaped in your late 20s, in your mid-30s, so you can get it back. Because it's going to be hard if you've never picked up a dumbbell in your life and now you're in your mid-30s. It's going to be a lot harder to pick up that dumbbell in your mid-30s than in your mid-20s, let alone early. So that's what I'm trying to say by don't let the ship sail you by. But other things, talking to girls, relationships, interactions, dude, have them. Just don't let it take over your life. At the end of the day, your priority should be you. Even when you are in a relationship, your priority should still be you. You can have your partner's priorities very close to yours, okay? They can be lining up very close, but you should still have yourself above your partner. Maybe, just maybe, with the one exception of prioritizing your kids when you have them, and even then, I would say not necessarily for the entirety of their life, because those kids might grow up to be a piece of shit. Now, when they're kids, when you're raising them, nurturing them, I agree that they come first. They're your priority. But once that kid's an adult, I'm not saying necessarily be and let live, let them go on about their life how they want, still try and educate them and guide them on the right path, but at the end of the day, they will make their own choices that you won't be able to control the entirety of. And if that kid goes on to be some psycho piece of shit, whatever, if you believe truly that you raised them right, then there's nothing you can do in that situation. You still have to put yourself first, and you can't even put your kids first, for the entirety of their life. You can do your best by them, but sometimes you even have to step away from your kids, whether it's for a time or for an entirety of your life. But now again, I'm going on a tangent. You guys ain't worrying about fucking having kids. But if you're a guy and you've got a kid somewhere out there and you're a guy in your 20s, man the fuck up, yeah? And don't abandon that kid. Don't do it for the woman, do it for the kid.
Because life doesn't work that way. If you fall for this trap, this way of thinking, you'll end up a 36-year-old man like me who realizes that you've been missing out on a lot of things in your life that could have probably made you a lot happier. You could have spent more time with your friends and your family. You could have worked a job that you truly loved, that didn't make you as much money, but it's something that you truly loved to do. You could have spent more time just putting a piece of meat on the barbecue and smoking it, and then eating it with your friends and your family, or even just enjoying it by yourself. And you could have spent more time playing a game with your friends on Saturday evening. So if you ever feel behind in life, or you feel like you have certain things to achieve before you've reached a certain point in your life, I hope this video gave you something to think about and gave you a little bit more perspective on what is truly important in life. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, pretty good video, and I don't want to make it out like I disagreed with just about everything Rob said. I think it's a little bit overkill with this kind of grey, gloomy tendency to go, oh man, I wasted so much. Like, Rob, you gotta be honest, you're kind of coming across like I wasted so much time, but you really didn't, okay? I really don't think, I think you've actually done really well for yourself, man. You should be proud. You should be proud that, you're behind a camera, you're making videos like this. It's insightful, motivating, and just judging by the snippets I've seen of your yard and that you've you've got a wife, you've just had a baby, your baby's walking, running. Man, you look healthy. Everything seems to be on the right path. And like I also mentioned, use people like this as a good example, okay, of someone living a good life. But when you say things, it's Rob that I'm talking to. When you say things like you've let times go by, you didn't have a piece of steak with someone, or you didn't go to someone's birthday party because you were grinding. Yeah, don't be that guy. But shit, if that's the extent of it, okay, that's not time wasted, okay? Like I also mentioned, it's not like you had some horrible disease or addiction where you've jeopardized relationships, you've put other people's health and safety at risk, okay? You've made some really dumb and tragic choices. You've fucked up your health, maybe for a really long time, or even in some aspects permanently. Yeah, okay. When you start using phrases like, man, I messed up permanently, okay? I've got like a permanent handicap. Yeah, you've passed the point of no return, so to speak. But you can always catch up on just about anything as a man, okay? It's just not too late. I'm telling you right now, unless you are terminally ill, there is nothing that you still can't do in your 20s. Even if you are obese at this stage, there is nothing you can't do. There is no way that there's nothing, unless there's actually a physical ailment stopping you. There's nothing that you can't do to fix that, to remedy that. Okay, we have gone on long enough. And yep, that was it. We're going to call it there. So, thanks for tuning in. And that Pirate Bay link doesn't work anymore. That shit's been closed for years. If you enjoyed this, leave it a like. If you've got something to recommend or give me feedback about, that's what the comment section's for. Peace.